To what extent can the angels of Satan be helpful to our salvation? It sounds like a bizarre, absurd question. Satan's angels we know have only one obsession, it's to make us lose our salvation. They want to involve as many human beings as possible in a revolt against God, for a specific purpose, that God change his plans and give the beatific vision, according to our merits, our intelligence, and not our humility and our love. In fact, God lets him go, to a certain extent, and he will know how to turn all this, for the salvation of the greatest number, a greater salvation. And this has already happened, many times and continues to happen. The first time it happened, it was at the moment of the temptation of the first man and the first woman, Adam and Eve, who were responsible for us, for the possibility of being conceived with the presence of God in our heart, or not. Adam and Eve were trapped, quite freely, they were able to resist, and in fact, he came out of there, a greater salvation. Indeed, to obtain what is necessary to see God, namely a very humble heart, a kenosis heart, well, we can simply acquire more now than a mere obedience to a commandment of God, which is already not wrong. We can now, by suffering, by the cross, get a broken heart, infinitely more. So salvation is infinitely deeper because our heart is infinitely more prepared. Second way, just as paradoxical, after the original sin, Satan received from God the possibility of tempting us, and his goal to Satan is to get used to selfishness, hoping that at the end, during the judgment last, we chose freely this time, to be selfish. And oddly enough, it has been useful for the salvation of many men. Why? Because by behaving selfishly on earth, one gets the wages emanating from it. We see it with the prodigal son. He is selfish, and at one point, reduced to nothing, his heart being empty, he is compelled, at a given moment, to desire to eat what the pigs eat. It is returned to that. Well, sometimes, by touching his misery, by the temptation of the demon into which we have fallen, we are more willing to hope for a Savior, who gets us out of there. Besides, Jesus tells it to a woman. This woman who had perfume at his feet. Because she sinned a lot, and she was forgiven a lot, she loved it a lot. So it's not the purpose of sin, obviously. But it is a paradoxical consequence. Third way, in relation to Christ, when Christ came to save us on earth, Satan did not pierce his mystery. He did not know that he was God himself made man. It's too big as history. And so he said to himself, I will kill him, and this time God will eliminate humanity. Besides, Jesus had said, what will the master of the vineyard do if we come to kill the son? Well, he will kill the homicidal vine growers. The problem was that he was not just an adopted son. It was God himself, and he had him killed. Then, unintentionally, he showed how humble and loving God's heart was, and that marked his final and effective defeat. Fourthly, finally, of which the demon will be useful, it is at the hour of death and at the end of the world when it will receive the permission of God to manifest us, this time in all truth, what it is that his project to know the hell, the love of oneself, pushed to the contempt free and thoughtful, of God and the neighbor. This last role, this ultimate role of Satan, who will become Lucifer, the light bearer, will be essential because it is he who will allow those who choose Christ to have done it freely and truly. It means with a realistic alternative, the possibility of hell. So we see it, in the end, God knows how to turn the worst horrors made by this rebellious angel, for the final salvation of those who choose him.